Ajahn Maha Nu started by saying, may I express my respect for the Triple Gem, which is our highest refuge, and my respect for Lompo, Anan, Akinchano, and the Sangha here. And may I extend my blessings to all of the laity who have come together to practice the Dhamma. And this opportunity that we have, it's a good opportunity that we've all sought out to come to develop our Dhamma practice. And shows that we've given importance to the cultivation of our mind, to bhavana. And so this is something which is very worthy of rejoicing in all of your goodness, that you give such importance to meditation and that you have this intent to becoming, to meditate in the special opportunity that we have. And through this opportunity, us practicing together, that we'll gain more knowledge and understanding and get a more refined and subtle knowing into meditation, which you can all then use for the growth and development of your own practice. So there's something that Rinpoche, Venerable Ajahn Chah, he once said, and this is a very important saying of his. And he said that this samadhi, that not interested in having a lot of it, but what you should be interested in is having mindfulness. And this is really important. He said, may you have great mindfulness, may you develop this a lot. So this is an important saying of his, and this is something which I wish to teach about and emphasize now. So within our meditation practice, something which is very important and that we can't afford to look over or to pass over is sati, is mindfulness. So this is very significant, something that we can't be lacking in. Because in order for samadhi to be samma samadhi, to be correct samadhi, it needs to be based upon a foundation of mindfulness. So may you give importance to this mindfulness and to its cultivation, development. And this mindfulness that you have, in order for it to be good and correct, it should be based in 4 foundations, which are the body, the feelings, the mind, and the Dhamma. But the most important of these is initially to be practicing mindfulness in the body and feelings and the mind. So therefore, may all of you give importance to this mindfulness. Also be following up on your mind, looking after your mind with mindfulness. Because in order to get results, you need to be mindfully watching and caring for your mind. And that's true whether you are sitting, whether you're walking. You may ask, well, what is seated meditation? What is walking meditation? Well, it's us taking up this sitting posture or this walking posture while we are firmly looking after and caring for our own minds. And so we have this intent to be looking after and caring for our minds. So that's whether we're sitting, whether we're walking, that we should be looking after and watching over our minds. And trying to make sure that the mind is always in a wholesome, skillful state. So in order to be looking after our minds, caring for them, we need to use mindfulness to do that. It's something that's necessary in this act of caring for the mind. So therefore, when you're walking, when you're sitting, try to give importance to this mindfulness. And then while we're doing these activities, we take this mind and we use it to focus. And what do we focus upon? We focus upon the body, upon the feelings, and upon our mind. So you try to get the mind to be looking at these, to be focusing, and especially in the beginning, focusing on the body. And that's whether we're sitting, whether we're walking. And so what this focus means is giving a special importance and giving the heart kind of over to that object. Really noticing this body. Right now, what is it like? So when I'm sitting, what's that like? When I'm walking, what is it like? So giving this special attention, special significance to our own bodies. So when we're sitting in meditation, to be focusing on the breath, we can have an awareness of the body in the sitting posture and gain the feeling of the entire body sitting. So like right now, what is it like, this body sitting? How are my hands placed? How are my feet placed? When I sit, when I'm sitting now, is there tension in the body? Is the body in a relaxed state? And then when we're walking, we have this similar importance and attention placed on the body. And how is my body moving right now? Is it stepping with the left foot? Is it stepping with the right foot? And so we have this kind of focus like this and try to really pay attention. And what this focus is giving this importance. And we're placing our mind on that object without sending it outwards, sending it elsewhere, which means that we are being mindful. And so I've explained this to give you an understanding of what it means for the mind to be focused, have this mind be interested in the body. And something else which I wish to emphasize is to not just place importance on seated meditation. We should also give importance to walking meditation as well. And some people, they don't have much interest in walking meditation. They just want to sit. But I think that they're overlooking an important practice then. Because this is an important practice, walking meditation, something that we can't afford to be missing out on. And for myself, before I didn't give importance to walking meditation. I just thought that I want to sit and just sit. Didn't place much importance on mindfulness, but rather I wanted samadhi, wanted to sit. I didn't want to do any walking. But later on I started doing walking meditation. I realized that this is something which is really important because the act of meditating while walking, it allows us to have good mindfulness, to really know what's happening within the body, within the mind. And with this mindfulness which is focused, then we're aware of all of the issues, all of the stories that are going on within our bodies, within the feeling and within the mind. And whether it's thinking about this and that, then we know what it's thinking about. And we can see that for what it is in time. And we're able to control that situation through our mindfulness. So therefore it gives us a lot of mindfulness, this practice. So for me it gave me this understanding of what mindfulness is really like. And I gained that from this walking meditation. And if I didn't do that, then I wouldn't really have understood mindfulness very well. But when I did gain that understanding, I realized, oh, okay, this is what mindfulness is. I was able to gain an understanding of this aspect of focus. And then I could use that within my sitting practice as well, and within the practice of contemplation too. And so before, when I was sitting in meditation, I realized that now that my mindfulness, it was almost not really there, that it was really, really lacking. And so I hadn't placed much importance on that walking practice. But now, after having done this walking meditation, gaining a realization of what mindfulness is, and then with this improving to something that I can now use within my sitting meditation practice. And so when I'm sitting, I don't allow my mind to just go off or to lose track of my object like I used to. It's because sometimes when we don't have a good hold on what mindfulness is, then when we're sitting, it's possible to kind of drift off. And all kinds of things can come up within our bodies, within our minds, and we just don't know what's going on. You can even just completely doze off and be asleep and we don't know anything. What's the body like? What's the mind like? We just don't know. We don't have an idea of what's happening within ourselves. There's the feelings going on in the body, if there's tension, if there's pain, if the body's feeling relaxed, we don't know what's happening. And whatever's going on in the mind, we don't know what's going on in our own mind. And in this state, it's not usable. It's not something that we can put to use. And so therefore we should gain a decent understanding of what mindfulness is in the present moment. And then we can use that within our walking practice and our sitting practice. That we should have a sense of ourselves while we're doing this, getting a feeling of what it's like when we're sitting, a feeling of when it's like when we're walking. It's like we're seated down and trying to look at the breath. And if that feels like it's not enough, then we can zoom in on a particular area of the body. So like zoom in on the hands, and what are the hands feeling like? Can zoom in on the head, and what's the head like? To gain this feeling over ourselves, and to not allow ourselves to drift off. Because if we do that, then we're not really meditating, we can't really use that. Our mindfulness isn't in the present moment. And that'll turn into drowsiness, into falling asleep, and we're not focused. So therefore, we need to have this focus in our practice. And it's like when we're driving a car, that we can't just allow ourselves to drift off while we're doing that, to not have any feeling or sense over ourselves, that we need to be aware all the time, to have this mindfulness all the time. And so through driving a car, this can be a good teacher in mindfulness for us. Because when we're driving, we can't allow the mind to get distracted, to be absent-minded. We need to focus. We need to focus on what we're doing, on the brake. We need to focus on the road ahead of us. And that we shouldn't let the mind go off to other places, but just to be aware of what we're doing. So this can be a good teacher for us as well. And so a teacher for us to have mindfulness of the feelings within the body. What's the body like? So driving a car can give us a good lesson in this too. So I've already explained the mindfulness of the body. And so now I'll explain and emphasize the mindfulness over the citta, over the mind. Because when we're meditating, whether we're sitting or walking, that we should be looking after our minds, keeping them always in a wholesome, skillful state. In order to do that, it's necessary for us to know our minds. What is my mind like right now? And so outside of, or moving on from giving importance to the body, now we go to the mind. and practicing giving importance to the mind, because this is necessary as well. That we need to be firm and intent in the way that we notice and aware of our minds, caring for our minds. What are they like right now? And so I have a special technique that can allow you to be aware of your mind even better while you're meditating. And so this is a special technique, and you can listen now to this method to be aware of your mind, to be caring for your mind. And so this special technique is using a mantra or meditation word or phrase. So these meditation words, they're very, very important. And it's the great teachers who have practiced already and got results from their practice. And this is something that they've given a lot of importance to, and something that we shouldn't be missing out on. And why is that? Well, if we are lacking in this, if this is missing from us, then our mindfulness, which will know what is going on within our mind, will be quite slow. And so sometimes the mind can be off, distracted, proliferating, and we're not aware of what's going on. For an example. And so that's kind of what can happen if we don't give importance to these meditation words while we are doing walking meditation or sitting meditation. So therefore, may you give importance to this, both in your walking practice, your sitting practice, to not be lacking in this. And try to be reciting a word or a phrase within your heart, and to make it really distinct and clear as well. And so we know then, when we're reciting that, we know we're reciting that. If it's gone, then we know that it's gone. And it needs to be very clear as well. So this meditation word, like Buddha, for example, that they're significant practices. So if we're taking that practice of Buddha, we give importance to Buddha, and we recite it so that it's echoing and clear within our hearts while we're sitting, while we're walking. Or if the mind is very scattered and restless, then we can extend that out to a longer chant, so like Itipiso Bhagava, the recollection of the Buddha. We can chant a long chant like this. Or another good technique that we can use is counting numbers. It's like counting from 1 till 10. And so when we're doing that, then we also count very clearly as well and have that echoing in our heart, just like we're saying it out loud. So when we recite 1 inside our heart, it's like we're saying 1 very clearly out loud, and then 2. So we give this importance to this, like this. And something that I wish to advise on as well is to not have this meditation word leading the practice. Because if we put the meditation word out first, and then we know the in and out breath after that, or we know the footsteps after that, then what is likely to happen is that will turn into a forcing or a controlling of the footsteps or of the breath. And we should be allowing these to just flow naturally, to be breathing naturally, to be walking naturally. So therefore we have this aspect of breath first, and then we chant or recite this meditation word just a little bit afterwards. So we don't allow it to lead, but rather it should be following. It should be following the footsteps, following the breath. And so we have this mindfulness there first, with the in and out breath, with the left foot being placed, with the right foot being placed. And then we have this recitation of the meditation word kind of after, a little bit after that. And so with this meditation word, then what benefit does it give to the mind? And so the mind and mantras or words that it's reciting, they're very closely connected with one another. Because the things which disturb our minds and don't allow them to become gentle and peaceful and collected and firm. And some of them are this restlessness and scatteredness of mind. Another is sloth, torpor, laziness, the mind being out of energy and sunken. And so these are the things which come around to disturb our minds. This restlessness, this drowsiness. And they make it so that we are not aware of ourselves. And so how is this meditation word related to that then? Well, if the mind is restless, then we should know that it's restless and know how much it's restless. And so how do we know that then? And we can notice this when we're doing walking, when we're sitting. And if the mind is speaking a lot, if there's a lot of words and speech going on, then we can see that it's being very restless at the time. Because when we're thinking, there are many words being produced by the mind. And this has moved away from these meditation words that we're using. And so if we're sitting and that inner dialogue, speech is going on for a long time, then that shows that the mind is very restless, and this is quite a difficult situation to manage. If that dialogue is very short, then it's just a little bit of restlessness. And so we can notice that there are these messages being sent to us, but they're not being externally vocalized, but rather it's a speech which is happening within the heart. So whether the restlessness is great or little depends on how long or short these messages are. And so this is one way that we can test and we can find out how restless the mind is. And so then it's connected with these meditation words then. Because if we don't give importance to this practice of reciting, then there won't be a clarity to it, or it can just disappear. And then what happens then? We don't really know what's going on. We're not aware of what's going on in the mind. It can be thinking about all different kinds of things. And really and as soon as it leaves that meditation word, then it will go into this restlessness about other things, which shows that the mind has become restless already. And so if we're not reciting these meditation words, then we're not aware of ourselves, not aware of the thoughts that are going on, how many words the mind has been producing. But if we give importance to these meditation phrases, and then we have the mindfulness to know the restlessness of the mind in time, and to be up to speed with that, because we're reciting Buddha or we're counting, that we have this focus and this clarity, we've given significance to this practice. And if any other words come in that aren't Buddha or 1, 2, 3, then as soon as they come in, we know that they've been produced already. We know that they've arrived. We know that the mind's about to get off into being distracted and restless. So therefore this is a significant practice. It allows us to be aware of the restlessness of the mind very quickly. But if we let go of this practice, then the mind can easily go into scatteredness. It can be thinking about all different kinds of things, and we don't have the mindfulness to know that that's what's happening. So then we need to be aware of that and to give importance to this practice. We shouldn't allow this mantra to leave the mind. And there are different ways that this meditation word can disappear, that it can go. So we should try to not allow that to happen, but for it to be echoing clearly within the heart continuously. So one way of it disappearing is that it just changes into another word, into other kinds of speech which are coming into the mind. And another way of it going is that we're not aware of what's happening. We're not aware of this body, not aware of the mind. We don't know what that's like. And if that happens in the beginning stages, that's not a good thing. So therefore, we should have this awareness over this meditation word, and so that we can be aware of what's happening in our mind and be up to speed with thoughts that are going on, and up to speed with the restlessness that may occur. So this restlessness of mind is something which forms a significant obstacle to our practice. So we should get to know it well, and do so by giving importance to the recitation of meditation words. Because if our mind is not with our body, with feelings, with the mind, with the meditation word, then that shows that it's gone off and it's distracted already. And so we should notice this quickly, and that if the mind has picked up another object, that shows that it's already distracted. But another way that the mind can go off to the opposite side, and when we're reciting this meditation word, but then it falls off in the other way, is it falling off into this lethargy and sleepiness, so that we're not aware of ourselves. When we're practicing this recitation of these words, and we are aware of what's going on, and then we know that the mind is just starting to drift off, starting to become feeling lazy, like it doesn't want to be reciting this anymore. And then if we allow the mind to go into that, then the meditation word will just disappear and we won't be aware of ourselves. So this is showing that the mind then has fallen off the other way. And there's this kind of lethargy in the mind, being kind of down or out of energy, sleepy. It's gone off to the other side. And today I will recommend just this much, because this is the time that we have. That may all of you develop in your practice, and may all of you grow in blessings.